Hey y'all, this is my review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 5. So they took a quick break on Memorial Day weekend. They're back. I actually missed them, so hopefully this episode is good. This is my first time watching it, so you're going to get my authentic review of it. The name of this episode is She by Herself. Production continues to be shady. They are wrong for this title. So we open the episode, the ladies are still in New York, and it is night 1, and they're still at the restaurant. Sheree calling out Drew for being messy when her own assistant is claiming her husband is gay. Drew's still in her BS, and the rest of the ladies are like, why are you mad at Sheree, girl? You should be mad at your assistant. Like, you the one that repeated the tea that your assistant told you, but Sheree didn't. It looks like Drew is backed into the corner with all the ladies because everyone is telling her from every angle that she's wrong. So she finally apologizes to Sheree if she brought the information to her in a bad way. And then Sheree is like, oh, you gonna apologize for putting your hand in my face? And Drew obliges and apologizes for that as well. Oh, Drew, the clown of the season. And with Sheree on it. How you beat out Sheree for being the clown of the season? Sheree even takes this moment to call Kandi out because she the one that was told this information, but instead of going to Sheree, her friend, she went to Marlo and Kenya. And Kandi can't say nothing. She's like, that is right. Kandi need to be called out because if that rumor was about her, she definitely wouldn't have liked it. And hey, we have receipts on rumors about Kandi that she did not like. So Kandi owns it. She says, I was wrong. There's nothing I could do. Yep, you was messy, Kandi. Now, Sheree, I actually like this confessional look with the blue and red blazer. Thank you. Because, Lord, the Elvira and then the ice skating makeup that you had, no. So moving on, Kenya gets a text at the table and she's upset. She gets up. And of course, it's from Mark, her ain't shit ex-husband. Well, is it her ex-husband? Because they're technically still married, right? Because they still haven't settled. But anyway, Marlo follows after her to see if she's doing okay. Kenya wants to make sure Mark sees their child, but it seems like he doesn't care. Kandi's recommendation is to be like, well, you're just going to have to let him reach out. But Kenya doesn't want to do that. She wants to make sure Brooklyn has her dad in her life. I personally think you can't force men to be fathers if they don't want to. Once Kenya gets back to the table, the next topic of conversation is Sheree seeing her felon Tyrone. I still think Sheree is above this. Like, why are you messing with a man in jail? Like, come on. And the same go for Monica too. Apparently Tyrone is still on house arrest and he cannot travel more than 100 miles. Uh-oh, so Marlo has the floor right now and she addresses Kandi. She tells her that she thinks the sex thing is getting out of hand with her. Marlo has a problem with Kandi giving all the ladies vibrating panties to wear during the trip. I mean, to be fair, Kandi knows what she's doing though. She's basically marketing her product as we're watching the show. But she's already marketing her play that she's producing. So I'm just like, geez, Kandi. Like, that's what I would complain about more than the sex thing. It's just basically like, come on, Kandi. Like, what else you promoting now? Oh, 2 points for Kandi in her confessional. She's like, come on, Marlo, you used to your coochie buzzing. Kandi disagrees with Marlo and said it's just all in fun. Marlo does bring up a good point though. If Kandi is so sexual, then why Todd is complaining that he don't get enough sex? And Kandi's complaining about her sex life. So Kandi then says you need to worry about your own sex life and who you fucking. They keep it cute though at the table. They're not going back and forth. But I kind of agree with Marlo. Like, there's a little juxtaposition going on. Like, Kandi's so sexual, she's a freak, but we hear that her sex life is lacking. So, which is it? So dinner's finally over, and next scene is day 2. We see a lot of the couples getting ready. Interesting scene with Kandi. Like, Kandi just asking Todd, like, who we going to the gym with? He's like, oh God. She's like, who you going to the gym with? It's always fascinating to see the more realer moments between Kandi and Todd because they put on the front a lot, like, they're the perfect couple. Because it seemed like Kandi'd have a little trust issues when it comes to Todd. I hope they explore that. So we're with Kandi now in her meeting with the executives for the play she's producing. And it looks like the play so far is selling. It's going to be a success. It definitely has had a word of mouth in New York, so it's legit. I do want to see it whenever I get a chance. Now, Kandi, if you watch it, hook a brother up with some tickets, you know? Side note, it really sucks that they were all in New York and I didn't run into them, especially because they're in Midtown. Well, they're in Midtown East, I'm in Midtown West, but damn, it would have been nice to run into them. Next scene, we're with Sanya and Kenya walking down Fifth Avenue and they're just talking. Kenya's discussing her woes with Mark again. He is just making her life a living hell. So next they're talking about Drew and her husband, and Kenya was just wondering if she went in on Ralph the previous night when they were having their debate. So then Sanya brings up her concerns with Drew and seeing how she treats the other ladies and how she moves, and she's coming off a little messy to her. And also she brings up Drew's organization, I think where it's like staying fit or having to do with weight loss. And she's saying she's kind of coming off as a hypocrite because didn't you have surgery? And Kenya said, how you gonna help people lose weight when you had a doctor cut your stomach off? Ooh, child. I mean, Kenya ain't lying though. Like, you can't just like get you a BBL and then want to start going to the gym. A little side note, it is giving me anxiety how slow they're walking down the sidewalk in New York because New Yorkers watching. If you know, like, we be speed walking, so how slow they walking, I'll be like, get out the way. I'm sure they had to cut this scene up for people walking around them as they're trying to film. But anyway, it looks like they're setting up Sanya versus Drew for later down the line. Next scene, we're with Sheree, and she's talking to Candy on FaceTime, and it looks like Tyrone is not going to be visiting her. Sheree is doing what she does best and just giving excuses about why Tyrone can't make it to New York. Production even gives us a map showing the mileage between Philadelphia and New York, and it's 94.6 miles. But Sheree says he doesn't want to chance it. I do remember when they were filming this, it came out on the blogs that Tyrone didn't want nothing to do with the show. And I'm guessing later down the line, he changed his mind or something like that. I don't know, but Sheree, Lord, like, it's a contest between her and Drew on who gets embarrassed the most. Next scene, we're with the whole cast, and they're seated at lunch right now. The topic is Marlo and her business, and turns out that she's styled for Jazzy Faye before, and Jazzy Faye, of course, used to be her ex-boo thing. I'm guessing this is how they get on the topic of famous people that you used to date. We see Jazzy Faye made a cameo in a flashback when Marlo was talking to Candy when she was dressed like a witch. And you know Candy knows everybody in Atlanta when it comes to music. Of course she knows Jazzy Faye. Now wait a minute, Marlo. She says that they just never got into anything serious at the time because he had a girlfriend already. And she wasn't gonna be nobody's side chick. Well, you were the side chick then if he had a girlfriend. So afterward, Kenya asked the table, who's the most famous person that ever hit on you? So Candy said she was in a full-blown relationship with Gerald Levert. Didn't know that, but I feel like Candy was dating someone more famous than that. Anywho, then we get to Drew, and she says a certain king of the NBA sent her a drink, he used to fly her out. Of course she's talking about LeBron James, but Bravo decided to bleep his name out. And I wonder why. I'm so intrigued by that. And they're bleeping his name out a lot. Now I'm thinking since Drew, you know, she's known to lie, like Bravo doesn't want any smoke from LeBron James because they know he'll sue. And, you know, he's a billionaire now, so he can definitely sue the network for that. But Messy Marlo, as well as the other ladies, they was like, well, didn't he have a high school sweetheart? And she said, oh, well, they're on a break. This was before they were married. And they're like, okay. Like in this moment, did Drew actually spill some tea that might get LeBron into trouble? But, I mean, it was so long ago. She said, I think this was around 2003. I mean, you got the ladies in the confessionals. I mean, some don't believe her. Kenya says she may be talking about Laquan. And then Sanya's talking about the overlap and how messy that is. I honestly think Drew wouldn't lie about this, but you just definitely have to take it with a grain of salt. So then Marlo says Gene Simmons hit on her. It looks like some people at the table don't know who Gene Simmons is from Kiss. And you know what? Like, I can totally see him hitting on Marlo. That's actually Marlo's demographic. Oh, and Kenya just agreed with me. She said in her confessional, that's right up Marlo's alley. Okay, Kenya, we see each other. So Kenya says the most famous person that hit on her was Prince. And a lot of them don't believe her, but I'll give Kenya some credit. In the 90s, I mean, she was a bad bitch. I mean, you heard Portia say, you are a slut from the 90s. Now, I'm not calling her a slut. I'm just saying what Portia said. I know Kenya was a bad bitch back in the day, so it's not that far-fetched that Prince might have hit on her. Marlo then just dismisses Kenya and changes the topic and asks Sheree, now where is Tyrone? And it looks like Sheree's a little embarrassed. She's like, no, he's not coming. And then now everyone's just asking why. It looks like Sheree doesn't want to answer the question though. But she does say she's going to Philadelphia to go see him. Now, New York to Philadelphia, it's only like I think an hour and a half, 2-hour train ride max. So she can easily just come back to New York after she meets Tyrone. But Sheree still gets away with not having to tell the ladies what's the reason Tyrone couldn't come to New York. So lunch is over, and now we fast forward to later in the evening, and it's the night of the Broadway play. Wait a minute. So now we see Candy on FaceTime with all the ladies, and she really wants them all to wear vibrating panties to this Broadway play. Like, this play has nothing to do with sex toys. This is actually like a serious play, like about black men's trauma. So why are they deciding that this is the night to wear the vibrating panties? They really about to do this. So now everybody's in the Sprinter and they're waiting on Kenya. And while they're waiting, Candy is just doing a vibrator check to see who's all wearing it. And the only people that are wearing it is Candy, Drew, and Sanya. Lord, and so it looks like somebody testing it out, and poor Sanya, it looked like her coochie is like vibrating to the point where she needs to tell them to stop doing it. Like, this is just so inappropriate. Like, what if, like, you know, one of them has like an orgasm from that, and then like they're wearing their good clothes, their good Versace, like, Candy. Ooh, and here goes some more Marlo shade from Candy. Like, damn. I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of words at the reunion. So Marlo's like faking that she had the panties on, and then we see Candy saying, oh yeah, she must be used to faking it, you know, because all she messed with is old white man. Like, damn. Now Marlo be hitting below the belt, Candy, you better watch it. So now we see they barely get to the Broadway play on time. Cameras wasn't there, so we just see them coming out of the play, and they're all saying that they enjoyed it. It looks like Thoughts of a Colored Man is kind of just like, what's that play that Tyler Perry did? And that movie was horrible. Oh my God, I can't think of it. Oh, For Colored Girls. Yeah, that. Ooh, Tyler Perry should be in jail still for that movie. That's just my opinion. So now after the play, the ladies all go back to the hotel. Looks like they're gonna have like a private function in one of the lounges. We're with just the single ladies right now, Sheree, Marlo, and Kenya. Child, not Marlo with this loud ass belch. The look on Sheree's face. I would be the same. Like, oh my God, you're on camera. Like, you might as well just pass gas while you're at it. So while it's just them, Drew and Ralph come up as a topic in the conversation. And I just gotta say, wow, like, they are really the joke of the season. Like, they really don't take them seriously. They're talking about their toxic relationship, and Kenya brings up the hypocrisy of her Drop It With Drew program. Marlo then looks up the website online and tries to join, and then it's met with a page not found. That's all it took for them to have a good laugh at her expense. Yet again. Kenya then says she thinks it's a Ponzi scheme, and it is Housewives, so it's not that far-fetched. They're then joined by the rest of the ladies and their men, and Kenya wants to apologize to Ralph for going off on him during their debate, and she says she feels like she was projecting on him a bit. And I'm kind of like impressed of Kenya taking accountability, because that's something we normally don't see. So good for her. I'm telling y'all, I'm liking this new Kenya. Like, she's not bothering me this season. I'm actually kind of liking her. I'm shook. Hell has frozen over. We then see the men exit so the ladies can talk amongst themselves. Sanya then takes this time to confront Drew in front of the other ladies about her reservations regarding her behavior in the group. Drew, of course, says she's confused, and Sanya tells her even though she met her first, she can't really rock with some of the things she's been doing. An example she gives is how she came at Sheree, and Drew is already defensive. Sanya tells her she would have addressed it earlier, but she was surrounded by her entourage most of the time in New York. Production then shows Drew surrounded by 4 or 5 people in her entourage to help get her together. Like, Drew has all this staff, but still be looking a mess sometimes, so that's what I'm perplexed by. We see Candy looking confused as to why Sanya would bring this up now in front of all the ladies. And Drew definitely has a problem with her confronting her now instead of talking about this in private. Now, to be fair, I do think Sanya could have told Drew one-on-one, but on the other hand, they're making a reality show. Of course, we want to see Sanya confront Drew in front of the other ladies, so if anybody else wants to chime in, they could. Oh, and here go Marlo now, inserting herself, and she throws Kenya under the bus immediately for questioning Drew's weight loss program. Now, what does Drew's weight loss program, whether it be a scam or not, have to do with Sanya calling her out on her behavior? Like, they just being shady at this point. Marlo tells her she tried to subscribe on the website, but it's not working. Drew is like, oh, well, the site must have crashed. Marlo's like, oh, because there's so many people on it. Oh, the shade. And now Drew is trying to address the conflict of her having surgery, yet trying to peddle a weight loss program. And she's saying that she needs the surgery because of health reasons, like the BBL, the mommy makeover. Marlo says, oh, so the program's for after you get the surgery and maintaining the weight. She is wrong for that. Like, just leave Drew alone. Like, let her scam in peace. Like, wasn't Marlo a scammer too? Because, I mean, you got the mugshots to prove it, girl. Now Drew is going into a montage of what her program is. Production's having a lot of fun with that, and the ladies look even more confused. It's all bullshit, honestly. We then cut to all the ladies, even Candy, shading her weight loss program. Sheree then asks her, well, if the weight loss works, then why did you need the lipo? Drew said, oh, I have a hernia, I've had this, and this, just more excuses. Drew is trying her best to convince the ladies that it's legit, but she's doing a very poor job of it. We see her in her confessional, and production asks her, well, how much is it to join the weight loss program? She doesn't even know that. She has to call somebody, and they can't even give her an answer. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to Drew. She's just embarrassing herself. She's not being real. She's not authentic at all, and that's why people are dragging her. Sheree then gets a call from her man, and the other ladies don't even care about Drew and her scams anymore. They're in Sheree's business now. So Sheree's talking to her Felon on FaceTime, and she's showing the other ladies. He's saying hi. It looks like she's going to go to Philly the next day to go and visit him. He still didn't give a reason why he didn't come to New York. And like Karen Huger said, he lives in the phone. So next scene is day 3. It looks like the other ladies, they're all headed back to Atlanta, but we're with Sheree now because she's on her way to Philly to see her Felon. A felon in Philly. Child production is on with this dream sequence right now as Sheree's riding in this Sprinter. So we see Sheree calling Tyrone and it goes straight to voicemail. I mean, we saw this coming. That N-word ain't coming. So Sheree arrives at the restaurant and at least she looks fabulous. She looks good here. So she's sitting out on the patio and she calls him for a 3rd time and no answer. I'm sorry, by the 3rd time, you wouldn't have had me waiting out there for 2 hours. Y'all know production is keeping track, and at the hour and 30-minute mark, we have production coming out to tell Sheree that according to his attorney, he can't show up because he'll be violating his parole. Now, why couldn't Tyrone just tell her that instead of like humiliating her on camera? She drove 2 hours just to get stood up. Ooh, I would be heated. I would be so heated. I would not deal with that nigga again. So at this point, she calls Kenya on FaceTime because, I mean, Kenya of all people know what it's like to be embarrassed by a man. Sheree's telling Kenya that Tyrone basically stood her up, and I feel some pity with Sheree. This isn't even funny, and she's upset, look like she's about to cry. I feel bad for her. Like, Sheree don't deserve this. And I mean, I know we poke fun at Sheree, but I feel bad for her. Like, she looks really hurt right now. I can't even laugh at this scene. Like, I feel really bad for her, y'all. And kudos to Kenya for trying to cheer Sheree up. That's really nice of her. Wow, 2 Kenya compliments in 1 review. Lord, y'all, I mean, it is what it is. I actually like Kenya now. You heard it here first. But regardless of Kenya's encouraging words, Sheree is still humiliated, and then we see her ask the waitress for the check, and that is where the episode ends. Oh boy, poor Sheree. I mean, hopefully during the season she meet up with Tyrone, but it would be a done deal for me. Messing with the Felon. I actually think Sheree is above all this, even though we've seen her embarrassed countless times. This episode wasn't bad. I was entertained. As far as Sanya versus Drew, I saw a little clip of her on Speak On It, Candy's YouTube show. She said her and Drew really wasn't that cool, even though she was the one who called her during her accident. So I'm guessing this was a setup by production to make it seem like they were friends already, and they really weren't. But y'all let me know whose side y'all on with Drew versus Sanya. Do y'all think Sanya should have chose a different time to address Drew? Or y'all think this is the perfect time to do so? But with that, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Share too. Share your favorite clips of my reviews so y'all can help me get up to 13,000 subscribers. Pretty please? Okay, I'm out. Bye.